Hey everybody! Coming up in this week's episode of Front End Fire, we explore a tool that combines a terminal with a vibe coder and an editor. We found out whether Google actually has to sell off Chrome. And you will never guess who bought the AI browser Dia. It is a jam-packed episode, so let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Front End Fire, the weekly podcast that helps you stay up to date on the latest and the greatest in the front end world. I am your host this week, Paige Niedringhouse, and I am joined by my co-hosts Jack Harrington.
Hello.
And TJ Van Tol.
Hey everybody.
This week we have a lot of AI tech company news for you, so let's get right into it because it's pretty crazy. All right. TJ, would you like to start us off this week?
I've got some news on Google. And first, I'll tell you a quick story on how I read about this. I had a fun night last night because my kids have soccer practice. They're playing high school soccer, which is really cool. Very proud of my kids. But they have these practices, and these practices are like, 2 hours long and 15 minutes from my house. So I do a lot of walking. And last night I did something very embarrassing. So it was going to rain. So it's like, oh, I can walk in the rain. That actually sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So I go out for a walk and it starts thunderstorming. And I had looked at the forecast and I had apparently wildly misread this. So I take cover under an overpass and I'm stuck under this overpass. And that's where I started reading for the podcast, man. I got caught up on all the news, did all my research, took all my notes while sitting in the rain under an underpass. And luckily the thunderstorm only lasted for 30 minutes because I thought for a bit that am I going to have to make one of the most embarrassing phone calls ever? Call my wife and say, so here's the thing.
Is that embarrassing? I've done this, but okay.
Yeah, I think it's embarrassing just because it was totally preventable if I just looked at the weather and saw that thunderstorms were coming in. So I don't know. But anyways, while I was sitting under this underpass, I read about Google because Google and its browser drama has been a big source of discussion on this podcast for the last year or so. We've covered stories where Perplexity wants to buy Google, or wants to buy Chrome specifically. OpenAI wants to buy Chrome. And the reason those stories came up is because Google was under antitrust scrutiny. They had lost an antitrust case from the Department of Justice. And that case had moved into a remedies phase where the government was basically had determined that Google had an anti-search monopoly, but they had to determine what they're going to do about that. What action are they going to take? And forcing Google to divest from Chrome was one of the things put forth as a potential remedy because Chrome is a way that Google gets its search engine out there because a lot of people have Chrome and Google is the default search in the browser. So this was a remedy that was put up. It generated a lot of headlines. Well, yesterday, a big decision came down in this antitrust ruling. And to put this shortly, Google is not going to have to sell off Chrome. So from the decision, quote, Google will not be required to divest Chrome, nor will the court include a contingent divestiture of the Android operating system in the final judgment. So Android was also thrown around as a potential thing that Google might have to divest from. That is not happening either.
Scot-free.
Yeah.
The judge says, quote, plaintiffs overreached in seeking forced divestiture of these key assets, which Google did not use to effect any illegal restraints. So long story short, Google was not forced to sell off Chrome. It was not forced to sell off Android. And additionally, so one other remedy that was put forth is that Google would have to stop making payments to other browsers so that Google would be the default search. We've covered this before because Google writes Apple a $20 billion check so that Google is the default search in Safari. And Google writes Firefox a huge check, and it's basically all of Mozilla's funding. So Mozilla was very vocal. They spoke up very strongly in favor of Google not
Need that money.
Mozilla wanted that money to still come in.
I know.
And the judge ruled in favor of Google in this case as well, because, another quote, Google will not be barred from making payments or offering other consideration to distribution partners for preloading or placement of Google Chrome, Google Search, or its Gen AI products. Cutting off payments from Google almost certainly will impose substantial, in some cases crippling, downstream harms to distribution partners, related markets, and consumers. And they might as well be directly addressing that to the Firefox team, because I think they would have been the single biggest
the crippling,
crippled party, exactly, in this action. So Firefox is a big winner. Apple is a winner. Their stock went up. Google is a winner. Their stock went up 8%. The only thing that Google got actually slapped on the wrist, because remember, Google did lose this trial, is that they are going to be forced to make available some of their search index data and user interaction data. So they'll have to sell off some of their indexes and data on what people are actually clicking as part of search results. And the exact terms of that is to be seen. There'll probably be some, I'm imagining the OpenAIs and the Perplexities of the world will probably be interested in buying that. But that very much is a slap on the wrist compared to what courts could have done here, and how they could have completely reshaped the browser market. But for our purposes, it sounds like not much is changing, which is not the worst thing.
Yeah. Somebody on X put it pretty well. He wrote, "It's like a defendant robbed a series of banks and the court verdict found them guilty, then sentenced them to a probation under which they may continue robbing banks, but must share data on how they rob banks with competing bank robbers."
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, okay.
I will say, though, I'll defend Google a little bit in that I do think they have a monopoly in the search market, but I don't really see Chrome as a malicious act. It's a way of extending their search, sure, but Google puts a lot of money and effort into Chrome, sometimes very thanklessly in terms of all the work they've done to push the web platform forward. Agreed. That's a lot of money they've put towards engineers and effort into that. And a lot of that that's not exclusively just to make search better. Like they actually have done a lot of good for consumers. It's a browser that they make available for free. They've done a lot of good for the development community. So I actually agree with this action. I think it would have been a bad thing overall if Google had to get out of the Chrome business.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I think any of the suitors who were ponying up to buy Chrome would have been worse. I would not like to see Perplexity or OpenAI or any of those AI companies really owning Chrome. So, yeah, I think that at least is a good thing that they don't have to sell it off.
Do you guys know that Chrome just turned 17 years old, by the way? Wow. That kind of blew my mind. Adi Osmani did a really thorough blog post on kind of some of the history of Chrome. That's a really good read. I'll throw that in the show notes too if people want to check it out. But it included that fact that it was 17 years old, and that do you remember when it was released? It came out with this really detailed webcomic. I don't know why, but I have vivid memories of this thing.
No,
not at all.
I don't see that at all.
It's a 38-page webcomic. And I think I was just stunned by the audacity of it at the time. And I had a huge bit of nostalgia, as I was under the bridge in the thunderstorm, checking this comic out.
The Google Chrome comic. Okay. Oh my gosh. Wow.
That is news to me.
Did you find it? Do you want me? I can throw it.
Yeah. No, I found it. I mean, you just, Google Chrome comic and there you go. I mean, it's only one page that I'm seeing, but but it's got
there's like a page selector if you're on the same page. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh my God, this is hilarious. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
It did remind me that Chrome was super revolutionary at the time. Just the fact that they did a different thread per tab in the browser, the fact that they built a new JavaScript engine, they built V8. And that was just a huge step up in performance for the web. I don't know. I got very nostalgic going down the Chrome history with Addy. And it sounds like they're going to continue to exist past their 17th birthday. So So I think that is good news. Maybe Google should have been slapped a little bit harder for antitrust stuff, but I think the right decision was made for our sort of web browser world.
Yeah. I
Cool.
agree.
And the Google US antitrust lawsuit draws to a close, at least for now.
Yeah, for now.
All right. Jack, what is your news for this week?
Yeah, so we're warping again. So I did a warp video, gosh, like 3-4 years ago, and people were like, "Oh, you're getting paid by warp." I'm like, "No, I'm not getting paid by." I just kind of like this terminal, and one of the things that was so blasphemous was that they required a login, which now seems like no big deal, whatever. But they were the first terminal that really went full hog into doing like AI assisted stuff. So you could go and ask it to help you write some big old command line console, whatever, that would like filter this and said that and whatever. And it was pretty cool. I'll be honest with you. And that was actually why I did a video on it. I thought it was kind of neat that it would encourage folks how to learn how to like get really excited about the console. So recently they have come up with Warp 2.0, which is also Warp code. And I actually spent a little time with Dia trying to like parse this out. And it's like, are these two different things? Because when you download Warp code, you just download Warp. And as it turns out, what they've done is they basically like kind of taken a vibe coding CLI and then combined it with a terminal kind of seamlessly. So you can just kind of flip back and forth between an agent mode and in a CLI mode. And even in some circumstances, you can set a switch in this incredibly small pixel font size that says that you want to basically auto guess as to whether you are giving it a command or whether you are giving it a prompt, which is kind of interesting. But I played around with it, and it's got MCP support. It's got everything you'd expect from like a Claude code or an open code. And then on top of that, it's got a file browser and like a command P thing, so you can bring up a quick file access menu. It's got a built-in editor. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like walking backwards into an intelligent IDE from a terminal, which I thought was kind of very, and then it's obviously an incredibly high speed terminal and all that. As I recall, it was either based on Rust or Go, one of those, but it was very, in comparison to like your web, the Chrome based terminals, honestly, it's very fast on the rendering side. So it's interesting. I played around with it all last night, just to get a feel for it, do some vibe coding in it. And it felt like I was like in a Claude CLI without actually being in a Claude CLI.
So, okay, I have some questions. You said it knows between a prompt and a command. So does that mean you're using the same thing that you might type npm install whatever, but you'd also ask it, make the background color of this red?
Yeah.
Just in the same place.
Yeah.
And it's going to try to intelligently know whether you're trying to just do a terminal thing like cd, ls, versus telling the agent to do something, right?
Yeah, that's its default thing. Is going to try and intelligently figure that out. Or there's just a button underneath. It's like, okay, I'm in command line mode. Oh, I'm in agent mode. And you just toggle between those two. And then, there you go. And when you're in agent mode, you're actually starting a conversation and you maintain a list of conversations with it. So you get that contextual conversation stuff. But I did find myself like typing ls in the middle of a conversation. It said like, yeah, that's the command to list files. Like, yes, I know.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. My bad. Okay, let's go over here again.
So, okay. I think that's kind of clever because the workflow I'm using right now is I'm in Visual Studio Code and I have the Claude Code extension. But then I also have a terminal open, right? Because I'm letting Claude Code take over there. So I've got my own terminal space. And the idea behind kind of intelligently combining them, I get that because it is at times a little bit awkward to have screen real estate's kind of important. So if I've got more panels open, I get that. My next question though is this a VS Code fork that for their editor?
No, the editing portion? No,
yeah.
I think it's just a pretty bare bones kind of text edit style editor with some code, coloring. It's nothing like. Yeah, I think it's just they added it so that you could just kind of do everything really quickly in it. It's not necessarily like that's kind of the weird thing. It's like, where do they draw the line, like on this feature set? Like, when, do they want to do Vim? Do they want to do they want to get like split tabs? Like, how far do they want to go down the editor line? And it felt like it was more like, oh, we just had this in here so that if you just need to like make some quick changes to a file, or got your added something to .git ignore or whatever, that's there. Oh, it also has like a diff view. So once it's done changes, you can like bring up an integrated diff view that shows you. It's got, it's kind of like weirdly, as I say, like walking backwards into an IDE.
Interesting, because I've been using Warp for years as well as my terminal of choice.
Okay.
And I remember I've never really taken full advantage of it because I just don't do that much stuff in the terminal on a daily basis. I prefer being in an IDE in general. But I do remember when it came out earlier this year or last year or whenever, when they said, okay, now Warp is AI enabled. So you can give it natural language prompts and it'll be able to do things like write bash scripts or execute commands. And you don't have to remember how to, run commands exactly. But it's interesting that they're now trying to take that like a step further into the actual coding realm. And I've seen ads like in the newsletters that I read of like Warp does better than Claude Code in terms of like speed of responses, or it's even smarter than Claude Code. But I don't know. I just like Claude Code. I've figured out how to use it really well. So I'll open up a Warp terminal and then immediately type Claude and start going about my day. I haven't actually tried to have it do coding and like look at repos or make changes, but I mean, it's certainly an interesting idea, and maybe it'll really appeal to people who are more into the terminal type of development than us, for instance.
Yeah, I can't really tell like why does Claude Code exist, to be honest. Like, I'm not even sure. Like, I mean, Cursor is really good. Like, I mean, well, I guess I understand kind of. I mean, Claude wanted to just directly get around the fact that they didn't have an IDE and didn't want to make it IDE. But like, I don't know, the whole CLI coding thing. It's weird to me. Like, is it cooler to be in the CLI? Is that the whole idea? Like,
it's grown on me. Okay. I wasn't, but I don't use it as my only coding source. I have VS Code open as well, and I'm watching the changes that it's making to files, but I'm letting Claude Code actually make the changes from the terminal. So
that's kind of where I'm at too. I think it's working for them because the terminal is the lowest level thing. So the people who are happy in the terminal only have what they need. But then everybody else who wants more, you could just use that as well. Like, I'm VS Code plus Claude Code, and that's working great for me. And presumably you could do the same in Claude Code's just editing files. So any editor you could use in addition to it. And it keeps Claude from having to build or pay billions of dollars to buy an editor or to build one themselves. They just do this and plug extensions into places.
Yeah, I mean, you could have Claude Code and Sublime working together, or Notepad++ if you really want to go old school.
Well, and as a look ahead to some of our bonus news that we'll be covering later on, it seems to be working quite well for Anthropic, regardless of how they package it. So
it is interesting. They do tout the fact that they're number one in Terminal Bench, and so I was like, oh cool. What's Terminal Bench? And
right.
Terminal Bench turns out to be like this like benchmark of giving AIs like a bunch of different tasks, terminal tasks, like make detach the head on this git state or whatever. Who knows? Yada yada yada. Right, and in various degrees of complexity. And the funny thing is, like, one, Warp is not number one anymore. Now they're number two, and the maximum accuracy of Warp of the winner is only 59%, which is pretty crazy.
Wow, that's not as good as.
Yeah, nobody even gets close to 100% on this.
I'll flip that on you. Like, what if you said, because the reason AI works so great for coding is because it's very obvious. Usually, it's obvious when it gets it right. So the idea that 59% of the time some tool one-shot a bash script for you, for example, is pretty cool. And in the 41% of times where it didn't one-shot a bash script for you, you could tell it what it did wrong, and there's a good chance you can get it there within another step or two. I still think we would have found that absolutely mind-boggling, 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
No question. No question.
But I think to your point, there's a long ways to go.
Yeah. The winner currently is the not publicly available OB1, OB-1, which I believe is from OpenAI or it's from OpenBlock, which may be associated with OpenAI. So
Never heard of that one.
yeah, I hadn't either. And searching around for it is kind of hard. It's like if you search for OB-1, O and B and dash and 1, you actually get like these outdoor boxes for like electricity. Like you're like, okay, that's not what I wanted, but anyway. So of course I signed up for the mailing list. We'll see, or the mailing list, early access. We'll see when I get it, if I get it.
Sure. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm always skeptical because there's been issues before where these models have curated themselves to the tests. So I don't value those sort of leaderboards as much as I do just the real world experience with people. So so if you have that experience in our Discord channel, we'd love to hear back if you're trying out these tools and try it. And we'll play with these some more too and see what we think. They definitely have some interesting ideas.
I played with it, and I had to do some changes to the project, and it did well. So
are you going to continue to use it for a little bit?
Maybe. I'm going to talk to Ben because Ben now works over there, and I'm going to be like, yo, because I actually went on their Discord, and I'm like, the font size on this settings panel is just ridiculous. And you can't do plus, and you can't Command Shift plus or whatever, minus. And there actually is a bug on it that was filed like in April, and I'm like, so I'm like, come on, seriously, you guys got to fix this. This is crazy.
Well, see, that's why you fork VS Code though, because if you just get all that little things like that, letting text size be completely adjustable and keeping everything coherent is not an easy thing per se.
No.
And if you fork VS Code, man, they did all that work for you.
Yeah.
Yep. Get it for free.
Yeah. And they also had like, I couldn't figure out whether the directory I was in was getting acknowledged by Warp as a project because I wanted to bring in the File Explorer. And it turns out that the File Explorer is this tiny, tiny, tiny little icon that's up in the corner. And you're like, what's up with these tiny icons and tiny fonts? Like the designer who works there, like, half the time they're at Burning Man, the other half they're like, getting their eyes like super tweaked to like be like, the awesome, better than 2020. I don't even know.
Yeah, it looks great on like the 52-inch massive high-def monitor they've got mounted on their desk. I don't know.
I guess, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. All right. Well, I will go on to my news for this week, which is another AI tech company. They just bought Dia and the browser company. Do you want to take a guess for who it might be? Because I was blown away by it.
Microsoft.
I'll say we do know the answer to this, but sorry, but we did on this show predict that Dia, like their whole strategy was that they wanted to be purchased. So this news did not surprise me. The buyer surprised me. So if you want to reveal it, Paige, because if you've not heard it, you're not ready.
Yeah, it was Atlassian of all tech companies, the makers of Confluence, Jira, Trello, Loom, all those tools that many of us use every day at work because we have to.
Yeah, I'm actually okay. The only one that really actually two of those give me shudders. Confluence is the worst because the Confluence search is like the worst search on the planet. You couldn't find, a marble if your entire site was about marbles. But and then Jira is like just a massive headache most of the time. But like the other ones are cool, like Loom and that sort of stuff. It's not bad.
Yeah, I never in a million years would I have guessed Atlassian of all the big tech companies. But yes, they have paid $610 million for the browser company.
Man, that is a lot of money.
It is so much money. They say that they are going to let it continue to run unaffected by Confluence and all of Atlassian's other products. But I guess the impetus behind it is that the CEO of Atlassian was a power Arc user. He loved Arc, used it all the time, was like one of the first people to make bug requests and feature fixes in Arc. So yeah, when Dia came out and they kind of understood what Dia does, which is that Dia has the context of any browser tab that you have open. It can read the content of the pages. It understands, it just kind of absorbs whatever you tell it to look at that you already have open in your browser. They saw a lot of benefits that could come from having your Confluence tab open with Dia and your Jira tab and your Trello tab, and
you might finally get a decent search in Confluence.
Exactly.
Ta-da! Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Jira search is not great either. So
no, it is not.
Oh, actually, you could have it like teach you how to actually make changes in Jira.
Or that. Yeah.
That would be great. Because I
so
have no idea how Jira
the
works
CEO
at all.
said that he wants Dia to actually be a tool for users at work instead of users in their personal life, which is what ChatGPT is going after and Google Gemini is going after and OpenAI and all those. They're all kind of competing for the personal life space, whereas he wants Dia to be a browser that is focused on the at work people.
I will say the time that I used Dia most successfully, I was using Atlassian tools because I was writing documentation and I had the Jira ticket open for the feature. I had the Confluence page that had the requirements doc. I had our existing documentation site, and then I had Dia's thing so that it would have the context of the Jira and the Confluence and such. So I think I'm like they need to reach out to me for a case study here or something.
Yeah.
If they were looking for how to spend some of that $600 some million, reach out to our Gmail is in the show notes.
Exactly.
Let us know.
It'd be a testimonial.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, it's interesting. So now the browser company doesn't have to worry about funding. That is completely off their plate at this point. Atlassian has plenty of sales organization to help fund it and get it to critical adoption mass. They want to scale
enterprise sales.
Yeah, enterprise sales as well. But they basically want to make it mainstream, and the CEO feels like in the next 12 to 24 months that kind of area is going to solidify, and they want Dia to be a competitor. So
yeah, makes sense.
It's really hard for me to say with a straight face that it makes sense for them to purchase this company for $600 million when presumably they had no revenue whatsoever. I mean, Dia, I guess, barely had some sort of paid thing that probably only a few people were ever using. But at the same time, it does kind of make sense because this is where the world's going. I mean, every week we cover some new AI browser, some new AI sidecar, and Dia had clearly gotten a bit of a head start on this. So if you're a company that thinks you can help control this space, do something with it, it's probably a smart acquisition. Although, I don't know, like I said, it's still, part of me still thinks like paying that much money for something that's not actually generating revenue, my brain still struggles to be okay with that, I guess.
Yeah. I wonder if the idea that you have a work browser versus a personal browser is also a trend that's going to catch on, because I kind of just use the same browser for everything, regardless of whether I'm thinking about work or I'm just looking around for something like a recipe on the internet somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Same.
Yeah.
Chrome is actually quite good. If you've never used Chrome's profiles feature,
yeah, they're really good. Yeah,
it's extremely good for that, and I think that lets you keep in the same browser and the same bookmarks, but still kind of have multiple identities. And
you got some burner accounts on it. I'm just saying, like, I don't know anybody with those, but
But yeah, that's exactly it. I have my work tabs and bookmarks. I have my personal tabs and bookmarks in a different profile. I have the front end fire tabs and bookmarks in another profile. Yeah, just kind of works well.
At a certain point, all these plays that are sitting on top of like these frontier models, these heavily subsidized frontier models, are going to end up crashing because there's no way that like when OpenAI and Anthropic end up having to actually charge the actual value of that plus profit margin, like there's no way that companies are going to be able to give away, GPT-5 for a free tier.
Unless some of the lesser models are sufficient to run what they want to run and the context they're adding around it is providing enough value, because they're not necessarily, again, you talked about your Saga trying to figure out what model Dia is actually using, because they can be kind of secretive about this. They're not exactly open about it. And if they don't necessarily have to be on the latest and greatest headlining model from Claude or from OpenAI, they could be on some lesser tier one, some cheaper one. We really don't know.
Well, no, okay, hold on. The sidebar Dia is their own model. And then if you're typing in and it gives you the options, do you want to do a Google search of this or do you want to do a chat with this? And you select chat, you can actually see the model that it's using, and it's like GPT-4, GPT-5.
Okay.
Yeah. So they are actually like, I don't know. I haven't paid for Dia, and somebody's paying the freight on that.
Apparently it's Atlassian.
I mean,
that's
the same question that kind of comes up when you talk about Warp too, is that Warp was offering all of its AI powered stuff for free. And yeah, they have like a paid tier now that you can do like Warp teams and stuff, but I can guarantee you that the vast majority of Warp users are not paying for anything, because I'm certainly not, and I probably never will.
Well, this does segue nicely into our lightning news, I will say.
All right,
well,
let's do it.
Then let's get to it. All right, we have now entered lightning news round. So TJ, go for it.
Well, you know who is getting paid in all of this world is Anthropic. So Anthropic announced that they had raised a $13 billion Series F at a $183 billion valuation. And since we're talking about who's actually making money, this is the most staggering part of the entire bit. I'm just going to read the quote from their blog post. At the beginning of 2025, which remember is not very long ago, Anthropic's run rate revenue had grown to approximately $1 billion. So run rate revenue is if the year gets fast forwarded, that's how much revenue they would take in a year. So it was $1 billion at the start of the year.
That's huge.
By August 2025, just 8 months later, our run rate revenue reached over $5 billion, making Anthropic one of the fastest growing tech companies in history. So that's a 5x growth in 8 months on an already huge number.
Yeah, that's a little crazy. Okay.
So
insane.
It segues nicely after this other news, because when we talk about how with Warp, with Dia, with all these other tools out here that are kind of just ultimately probably just using Claude under the hood, who's actually making money from this? Apparently the answer is Anthropic.
It was funny. I actually talked to somebody just recently about Anthropic, and one of the things he heard was they don't actually want new customers. Like they're actually just trying to scale what they have, which was kind of interesting to me. Like literally, like they have all of the customers they could want for a little while. I guess it's pretty impressive.
That is mind-boggling to think that any company feels that way.
Yeah.
I guess that when you're growing 5x like this and the money's just flowing in, I mean, at some point you have to make sure your infrastructure can actually handle this, because at some point when you're riding this wave, you stand to lose ground if people start having negative experiences and start moving to some other tool. So I don't know.
Precisely.
It makes some sense to me, but it's still absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
What a problem to have.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, OpenAI is half a trillion on their valuation.
Yeah, on their valuation. Yeah. So Anthropic's, getting there. But I think, again, OpenAI's done well at cornering the market on the consumer space and being all consumer tools kind of funnel into OpenAI. and all software tools are seemingly funneling into Anthropic, and both are pretty good markets to be a sole sort of user, a beneficiary of, I guess, of all the activity.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And speaking of OpenAI, that is what our other piece of bonus news is about. And this is a headline that we just stumbled across this morning, and it sounds completely nuts. But OpenAI, who is, let's say, partially funded and owned by Microsoft, is building an AI-powered hiring platform, which would be a potential rival to LinkedIn, which is also owned by Microsoft.
Crazy.
What is the world right now? Like why? I don't really understand.
Yeah.
They just have so much money, they don't really know what to do, I guess.
They were talking about this. We were talking about this before the show, and it's like, wait a second, hold on. So Microsoft owns a chunk of OpenAI, plus they own LinkedIn, right? And now OpenAI is trying to take on LinkedIn. I don't know, whatever. The world of high business, right? Crazy.
Well, and you just think about the way that people tend to feel about LinkedIn, and I don't think that most of the feelings are good or that LinkedIn is well liked, especially in the tech business sector. But I do not see AI benefiting this.
Yeah,
necessary evil, but it's not like something where I look forward to going on LinkedIn and like checking my feed and seeing what the, industry leaders are thought piecing about on any given day.
Yeah.
I have heard, luckily, I've not had to look for a job or, I've used LinkedIn quite casually for the last few years. But from people I know, I've been told that AI has kind of destroyed that space, or it's kind of just flooded everything because everybody can now use AI as part of their resumes and all different parts of that process. And I am happy that I am currently not looking for a job and hoping not to be, because man, what a world.
Yeah,
me too.
Exactly.
Me too. I mean, thinking about adding more AI to the already painful process of job searching and making that like a core piece of the platform sounds like a terrible experience in every way.
The one thing that I think is good is that I imagine that when it comes to like coding interviews and stuff, the leak code stuff has kind of gone to the wayside because, I mean, those kind of questions are just like fodder for,
I hope so.
Claude code. Yeah.
I don't know.
That would be great.
I agree that it would be great. I'm skeptical they would be because the top companies a lot of times do those in person anyways on like a whiteboard. So
yeah,
I have a feeling to the companies who are really adherent to that, if anything, they might see this as a way to even do more in person and make people turn the tools off to make sure that they actually know their stuff. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I've heard of some companies doing away with things like the take-home coding problems where you're given a certain time frame to build something, or you're given an evening or a weekend or whenever it's convenient to you to do a code review or something. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work now with all the agents that we have access to all the time.
We'd love to hear in the Discord if you are involved on either side of that equation, if you are a job seeker or if you are someone who's tasked with interviewing front-end people. For me, I do DevRel stuff, so I don't interview front-end people. I'll interview people that are more content creators, and AI has definitely hit that world as well. But I feel like for interviewing front-end people, I'm not sure what you do anymore, to be honest, or how AI would affect this. So I'd love to hear from others what their take is.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, so you can maybe expect the OpenAI hiring platform in mid-2026, I think, was when they were saying to keep your eyes peeled for it.
Yeah, I'll be on the lookout, sure.
I don't even really know like what OpenAI has in terms of apps currently. I mean, other than just GPT, but whatever.
All right. So I think that is going to wrap up lightning news for this week. Does anybody have anything else? Nope. All right. Well, let's talk about what's making us happy then.
Woohoo!
Let's do it.
All right. Jack, what's making you happy this week?
I probably said it before, but Alien Earth is making me really happy. Alien Earth is now on its like fifth episode, and they did like a full on like alien movie in this episode, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Like it just so incredibly well done, and I gotta say, like, yeah, I was so worried about the whole Earth thing, and them, like, oh, we're gonna shoot on Earth because it's easy and it's cheap and all that sort of stuff. But no, it's not any of that. It is an incredibly high production. The script is excellent. I am hard pressed to find any holes in it. It's just an incredibly fantastic show. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it.
Nice. What channel is it on again, or what
It's on
platform?
Hulu.
Okay.
One of the 10 gazillion different freaking streaming things. Eesh.
I think Hulu is officially gonna be killed, right? Not killed, but merged into Disney Plus. I believe
Good,
is
because I
the
mean, at a
plan.
certain point, we need some consolidation on this thing a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just so difficult to track everything. A friend of mine is actually going to write an app that's like, if you give it the shows that you watch, it'll try and tell you how to optimize all your subscriptions and stuff.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I still contend that the biggest benefit we got out of cable falling apart and everything being distributed is it's really easy to cancel these services. So,
For sure.
Yes.
so if you're not taking advantage of that, I encourage you to. There's nothing stopping you from signing up for one of these things, immediately hitting the cancel button, and then watch your show or whatever. And then the next time you want to watch something, you just sign up and cancel again.
Yeah.
You might as well exploit that.
Yeah. Just wait
Yeah.
for the whole season, do it for a month, and cancel it.
Yeah. There's zero penalty.
No.
Pro tips. All right. TJ, what's making you happy this week?
Well, speaking of that plan, I just signed up and canceled Apple TV, and I did that to watch Severance, and which
nice.
I had not seen before. I didn't see in the first season, so I finished the first season, which was absolutely spectacular. I mean, probably one of the best seasons of television I've ever watched, and I'm now starting on season 2. I'm kind of halfway through that right now. I mean, it's so good. My only issue with it is I'm getting Lost vibes. If you two, I don't know, watch the show Lost.
1,000%. Yes.
Because Lost was so good, but then they opened up so many mysteries and plot points that never came to a satisfying end at the end of it. And so that's my only concern with Severance, is that I almost want some reassurance that the writers know what they're doing and kind of have a plan throughout this, because some of the things are so wild. Like, they're in this office building, and then this isn't a spoiler or anything, but they find like this room with goats and all this complete randomness, which makes it fun, right? But like, you do kind of want it at the end, something that coherently puts things together. And I don't know, maybe we'll get this, but if for people that haven't seen it before, in like 15 seconds, the premise of the show is this company develops a procedure where you can kind of sever your brain so that you can have almost a different personality or a different consciousness that goes to work for you. And so for the company's perspective, it's so that people don't have memory of what they're working on unless they're at work. And it creates an interesting dynamic, and drama ensues, and the people that are stuck in the building realize they're kind of slaves and try to rebel. And yeah, it's good times, though. It's good TV.
Yeah.
I will admit, like, I in season 2, I got to the point where I was like, I want an episode to actually start tying some of this stuff up, because like episode by episode, it was like all more mystery box, more mystery box, more mystery box, and I'm like, I just don't have the mental bandwidth to shove in like more. Why are there goats? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Why is there this? Why is there that? Like, what, it's like, whoa, but like, it's so much of a fodder. Like, my kid is all about like watching, YouTubes about how, this Easter egg and that Easter egg and how this lined up with that and this fan theory and that fan theory. And like, okay, well, that's great. Like, it'd be nice if we had some resolution on something,
Yeah.
It seems like Apple TV, though, is really nailing like good TV right now. They've got Severance. They've got Shrinking. I just started watching Bad Sisters, which I'm really enjoying.
Bad Sisters is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many foundations that Jack was talking about last
Foundation is
week or the
amazing.
week before.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've really got like some really good Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso. The morning show is coming back for a season 4.
Yes.
Amazingly. I don't know how they're doing that, but and Ted Lasso is coming back for a season 4. Don't know how they're going to figure that one out. But yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah. And I just read that White Lotus is going to have a season 4. And I know that was supposed to be a 3-season like story arc as well. So
yeah, I never got into White Lotus. I don't know.
Oh,
yeah, I know it's a
I
cultural
did.
phenomenon. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
First and second season, I think, were better than the third, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. All right. So the thing that is making me happy this week is not a television show, although I am enjoying Bad Sisters, so might recommend that. It is actually a monitor, a computer monitor, if you can believe it. It
Okay.
is the BenQ RD280U programming monitor. And
Rolls off the
full
tongue.
disclosure, a person at BenQ reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested in trying one of their RD series monitors because they are specifically designed for developers. And they sent it to me, and I've been using it for probably about a month and a half at this point, and I love it. It's great because it has all kinds of technology built into it to prevent eye strain, to adjust the monitor brightness, to make it easier for you to look at it basically in different light conditions. So if you have ambient light from outside, it adjusts the monitor's brightness for that. If you're in really dark conditions because you're coding at night or you have the lights off or whatever, it adjusts the brightness for that. So it has all
Sounds
kinds of
good.
like anti-glare technology and stuff like that. But honestly, the thing that I love the most about it so far is the aspect ratio. It's a 3:2 aspect ratio screen, so I get to see way more code without having to scroll.
Okay.
Yeah. And you don't have to turn it vertically to get the extra space. It's just like that out of the box. And honestly, I never thought about it, never cared. Like my other monitors are all, I think, 16:9, which is kind of the standard aspect ratio.
But that's because of
Mine
movies.
are. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's great. It's honestly like so awesome to be able to drag my IDE over there and have it adjust because it has different coding modes for light and dark depending on what your preference is for IDEs.
No kidding.
Yeah, it makes
So
the text
it's like
sharper and
seriously
clearer.
like specific to coding. Wow.
They have.
I like it.
What's crazy about this is they have bullet points related to front end developers on their homepage. I mean, how specific is that?
Okay. What is this monitor again? Hold on.
It is the RD280U is the particular one that I have, but any of their RD series monitors are all programming related, and they also have ones that are specifically for designers, so they're really color focused. They have ones apparently for
God, that's hilarious. Yeah, these look like
maybe gamers
that aspect
as well.
ratio is the kind of thing that we used to have like back before widescreen TVs. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I remember square monitors for sure, and I mean, widescreen didn't catch on until, well, it seems recent to me, but it's been quite a while at this point. But I definitely remember in the old school boxes.
I mean, I did not realize how much I would like that or how much of a difference it would make to be able to see more code on the screen at once. But man, I really, really do.
I wonder about the eye strain thing because, I mean, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see I wear glasses, but I only wear glasses for looking at computer screens because my eyes start hurting if I start coding for long periods of time. For a long time, I got headaches, and I just have some glasses that help basically tone that down. So if you meet me in person, I will not have glasses on. My eyesight is fine, but I do wonder because not that the glasses are that big of a deal, but if I could come up with a situation that I didn't need them, that would be interesting. It'd be an interesting experiment, at least.
Yeah, I mean, that is a big thing of all the technology. They call it coding mode. It's like a specific mode that's built into this monitor. But that is one of the big things is like ergonomics and eye strain is what they're aiming to eliminate. So it very well might.
I'll keep it in mind. My current setup, I'm not going to mess with it, but at the same time, I'll keep it in the back of my head if I do switch things up to check it
It
out.
ain't cheap. I give it that
No,
much.
it is
Yeah.
not.
Oh, and let's say the page has some broken some images on it that are broken. That's kind of funny.
That is weird.
Really?
Yeah, if you scroll down to like the area where it says endless horizons, intuitive workflows, like the swivel, tilt, and height adjustable stand, or at least on my machine, they're broken.
Oh, I will have to.
Oh, nope. Now they're back. Oh well. Okay.
Weird.
And they're easy. Like they're tiny little images too. I figured they'd be fine. Oh well. Whatever.
Yeah. So I'll actually be releasing a blog post of my whole review on it, all the benefits that I've seen so far and features that I didn't even know it had until I started writing the review. So that'll be out by the time this episode comes out. So
Woohoo!
give it a look.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. Well, I think that is going to wrap up this episode of Front End Fire. So if you want to get in touch with us, we have our Blue Collar Coder Discord channel where we're talking about all kinds of things about monitors and AI and all that good stuff. We're on X, we're on Blue Sky, we're on LinkedIn, and we're on YouTube. So come hang out with us and tell us what's making you happy and what the world looks like on your end.
Yeah, has AI destroyed your life? Has it made your life? How's your job seeking going? Any of that good stuff.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
chatting.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We will see you on the next episode.
Yep. Bye, everybody.
See you then.